Give the judges another shot at it? Forget about the fighters. I don't want to give the judges another shot at it. How's that?
There is more than one fight at stake. This suggests a pattern of conduct that has plagued boxing for many years. It is referred to as the aside bias, the unwritten rule that judges typically give the more well-known or marketable fighter the benefit of the doubt. Canelo Alvarez is a prime example of the aside because to his enormous fan base and rich promotional partnerships. He is the golden goose and the cash cow. Atlas claims that having that rank confers a risky benefit. It is feared that judges may be influenced by boxing's commercial aspect, whether on purpose or accidentally. They are aware of which fighter will generate more revenue down the road and which the promoters hope to win. That information has the potential to significantly impact the result of a close battle. Atlas views the Crawford fight scorecards as yet another glaring illustration of systemic bias in action. The judges were determined to preserve the brand and keep the sidebar relevant, even in a bout that wasn't particularly close.
If I'm with Canelo, I think I'm happy with Cheatham. But if I'm with Crawford, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, wait a minute, hold on. This guy had, he had Canelo over Bebo.
No,
he had Bebo over Canelo. That's why I'm sorry. He had it that close. He had
115, 113. Now listen, there's another judge on this card who will be officiating this fight, Crawford versus Canelo, Steve Weisfeld, who also scored at 115, 113. I more singled out Tim Cheatham because of the inconsistency.
Because of his past record.
Yeah, I didn't think Loma lost to him. That was one of them. I just talked to you about the Zoo versus Fedora #1. That one, unbelievable. Richardson Hitchens versus Lemos, way too wide. Just recently, we watched a great fight. Figueroa versus Joel Gonzalez. Way too wide for Figueroa. There's been too many examples.
Teddy Atlas can provide a clear example if you're looking for one. Cheatham, Tim. From the moment this judge was announced, Atlas and Crawford's camp was on high alert. Why? Due to Cheatham's history of producing contentious scorecards that appear to defy logic. Think about the bout between Bivol and Canelo. Bivol achieved a resounding triumph. Cheatham, however, scored it 115 to 113, one round away from a draw. That scorecard sparked curiosity and cast doubt on his objectivity. Furthermore, it wasn't a singular incident. Other bouts where Cheatham's scoring appeared to favor the A-side combatant, or the one with greater stakes, were noted by Atlas. For Atlas, the selection of Chetan to judge such important conflict this year was a warning sign that Crawford would have a difficult time before the first bell rung. What occurs when a person who has dedicated his life to this sport, such as Teddy Atlas, doubts the judges? The super fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez was promoted as one of the decade's most anticipated boxing events. However, a shadow of suspicion started to appear behind the sparkle and glamour, and the official scorecards confirmed many people's worst worries. Teddy Atlas was not happy. The legendary trainer was furious as the boxing community rejoiced over a new undisputed super middleweight champion. Terence "Bud" Crawford, whom he felt dominating, had just given an outstanding performance. The battle. However, he was incensed when the judges' scorecards, 116 to 112, 115 to 113, and 115 to 113, were revealed.
The thing that bothered me, there's only one thing that really did bother me, and that's why I don't want a rematch, I'll be honest. I've been in this business 50 years, too long to fool myself. Those judges should be really, they got to look in the mirror to have it that close. There's no way it was that close. Thank God he dominated. Because otherwise we might be here talking a whole different thing and really going nuts, and I would definitely break this thing.
Yes, you would. I believe you.
And maybe that. And I'd owe money. And I couldn't care. I would pay it. But at the end of the day, that's why I don't want to see it again. He dominated, and the judges had it that close.
Yeah.
Give the judges another shot at it. Forget about the fighters. I don't want to give the judges another shot at it. How's that?
Not just Atlas, but other well-known people were horrified by the results. Chad Ochenko, a former NFL player and well-known sports commentator, was equally astounded and said he couldn't believe the figures accurately represented the severity of the beating he had just seen. "There's no way you thought that fight was that close," Wu insisted during his program. He had Atlas's view of absolute dominance. Bud claimed to have won that battle. I'm referring to dominated. He got the images that were cleaner. He made the more difficult shots. He was busy. The narrow victory margin did not seem to both men to accurately represent the battle. It was an indication that there was a severe problem with the sport they were passionate about. Wu went on to explain, figuring that Crawford had at least 9 or 10 rounds. At worst, Bud lost 3 rounds, he said in closing. In the worst situation, I might suggest 2. From informed insiders, the general consensus was evident. The official results were made up.
That was a great display of boxing. And had Bud not made it so convincing, there's no way, ain't no way to judge, because I don't give a damn what they say. And no, I've never been a judge. I've never judged the fight officially. But that's not a 115, 113. That's not a 116, 12. If you watch that fight, there's no way you thought those scores were that close. Bud dominated that fight. I'm talking about dominated. He landed cleaner shots. He landed the harder shots. He was active. Yeah, okay. So he followed him around the ring. Yeah, he was pressuring him. But guess what? Every time he come in there, he got slapped.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I really, really enjoy it. When it comes to boxing, when it comes to the sweet science, for those who know the game, who know the sport, and are not just casual fans of it, when it's done the right way, it's like art. It's like a puzzle. All you're doing is putting the pieces together. Whatever he does, I got something for that. Whatever you do, if he has something for that, you come back with something else. I mean, it's a beautiful thing when it's done the right way, and I really thoroughly enjoyed tonight's fight.
Bud won at least 9 to 10 of those rounds. Bud won 9 to 10 of those rounds. There's no way in hell, if you watch that fight, you thought Canelo won as many rounds as
Sutherland and Cheatham, they would be the first guys called into the office on Monday. And National Czar came in and said, I'm going to start investigating this sport. I'm starting to look at the things that Teddy Atlas talked about and a lot of other people talk about. I'm going to start, and that a lot of fans talk about, that they're leaving the sport because of the bad judging and officiating. I'm going to start to look at it. And the 2 guys I would say to you, sir, whoever you are, I would say, sir, it might be a good place to start with a guy named Sutherland and a guy named, yes, sir, I'm not making this name up. What is the name, Teddy? Cheatham. I had Beaver winning 11 rounds. All right, even if you said 10, you'd be kind of generous. But to have it that close, I mean, come on. And then the other fights you talked about, I mean, he's got a track record where the problem with him isn't just that he's so off and the numbers are so off. They're off for always the A fighter. That's the thing that puts a light on in my mind, that puts a danger light on, is that he's always, Canelo's the A guy always, right? We know that. We don't have to dispute that. So it's not like he's on the side of the B guy. He's always on the side of the guy that the promoter would want to win. That's what bothers me.
There is more to the issue than one judge. Teddy Atlas thinks there are problems with the system as a whole. All of the big fights in the boxing mecca of Las Vegas are decided by a tiny panel of judges. There are no new faces or rotations. It's a closed system and an exclusive club. Atlas claims that this familiarity leads to a disrespect for justice. The judges, commissions, and promoters are all acquainted. Together, they work together and conduct commerce. It's simple for boundaries to get hazy and for objectivity to lapse in that situation. Atlas supports a more transparent system in which judges are answerable for their rulings, and revolving panels guarantee that no official has undue influence or authority. However, the stakes are great money affects choices in the boxing scene, making significant improvements difficult to achieve.
If you got the same officials all the time, which we're talking about, you do. I mean, just look, every time there's a big fight, you got the same guys for the most part. And again, I think that you can help a lot by rotating and getting new blood in there. And also, geographically looking and saying, don't keep putting every time you put a fight in Vegas, don't put the same guys from there. Bring the guys from different locales. Mix it up a little bit, because you have these promoters that have a relationship and a familiarity where the judges are more prone to go towards them. Why? Why, Teddy? Why? Because they go out to dinner with them, they give money under the table. They do go out to dinner. I'm not saying they give money under the table, I'm not saying that. But they know that those are the guys that butter their bread.
Given these unfavorable...
How did Terence Crawford manage to win in spite of these odds against him? Teddy Atlas claims that it's because Crawford is a special kind of warrior. He is not merely gifted by nature. He has unrivaled mental toughness. Atlas uses a fascinating comparison to explain him. He refers to him as digital. Crawford functions like a supercomputer, digesting information and responding quickly, in contrast to other fighters who are solid and rely on their physique. He foresees his opponent's movements and deftly takes advantage of their vulnerabilities. Crawford, however, has a deeper motivation that strengthens his mental fortitude. He was shot years ago. Most people would have been overwhelmed by the traumatic event. But for Crawford, that event strengthened his fortitude and gave him the conviction that nothing in the boxing ring could be as harmful as what he had conquered. Because of the freezing water in his veins, he was able to face Canelo, bear the weight of boxing's expectations, and put on a performance that will go down in history.
They tried to bury Terence Crawford. They tried to ruin his reputation and say that he wasn't a draw when the numbers were there for you to see. When he went to MSG against guys that didn't have big names or that were faded, like Amir Khan, or when he fought Kaviaskis, he did numbers. There was a smear campaign about his personality. He doesn't talk. Nobody wants to hear him. No, that you don't want to hear. So you try to speak for the masses when the whole time you have a star right here. You got to learn how to talk to this man. Even as recent as his last fight, the fight before Canelo, the smear campaign continued. I don't hear the smear campaign now. Them voices got really, really quiet like they typically do when they get proven wrong, and they either try to jump on the wagon, I knew this kid was gonna be that, or they get very, very quiet and they start to retreat back to wherever they came from, and they don't have a lot to say. So I'm happy for this brother for that reason, because they tried to bury him, Roy. It didn't work. He overcame that. He said, give me my shot, I'm gonna show you. And he kept doing it time and time again, and he did it again against Canelo Alvarez Saturday.
What about the fallen monarch, Canelo Alvarez? Teddy Atlas implies that he was psychologically crushed more than merely vanquished. Crawford not only outboxed him, but also outwitted, outmaneuvered, and eventually sapped his desire to fight. Atlas thinks Canelo might have retired on his stool if Crawford had applied more pressure in the subsequent rounds. For a fighter who has long served as the face of boxing, this was a humiliating, possibly even embarrassing, loss. It calls into doubt his legacy in a significant way. Will he be regarded by fans as one of the greatest of all time? Or will his reputation be permanently damaged by this altercation and the scorecards controversy? There is a dent, as Atlas refers to it. It acts as a prompt that your value is based on your most recent fight in the brutal world of boxing. This story goes beyond Teddy Atlas, Crawford, and Canelo. It captures the essence of boxing. It serves as a warning that the sport we love could turn into a spectacle with planned results and supporters treated like idiots. The tight scorecards from a bout that wasn't close at all are indicative of a bigger problem: corruption and greed that jeopardizes the integrity of sports. As a result, we are left with an awkward question. Is what we see in the ring still reliable? Or has the noble science become so corrupted by that it has shifted away from sports to riches and power? To a show. This response could determine boxing's destiny. That concludes today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the bell button, subscribe, and leave a like so you don't miss any of our next videos. Additionally, remember to leave a comment with your ideas. We'll see you in the future video, so stay tuned.